I'm Myke Shrews.
And I'm Tivis.
And you're listening to
the Munster Cast,
episode 35. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Munster Cast, the podcast where we watch and talk about the Munsters. I am, of course, Myke Shrews, and with me, as always, my co-host and friend, Tivis. Tivis, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. Are you going to be able to hold together?
I'm doing all right. My throat's a little better.
Full disclosure, we are recording multiple in a row, and Myke is still recovering. So we'll see how this goes.
Yes. Awesome. Fun time when you're doing a whole day of recording. And you can't even talk. All right. So real quick, everybody, before we get into the episode, the dirty work, of course, you can find the Munster Cast on social media via Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at the Munster Cast. You can also find us and watch our pretty ugly faces on YouTube via the Munster Cast YouTube channel. And if you want to email us concerns, questions, Munster content, Munster information, Munster friends, Munster stories that you have, your personal Munster stories, or what they meant to you, what they've meant to you throughout your life, or anything like that, or even your opinions on the Rob Zombie Munsters movie coming out and everything. Definitely email us at TheMunsterCast@outlook.com. That's the MunsterCast. No S's in there at the end, at outlook.com. And then you'll either hear from me or Tivis or both of us regarding whatever your topic is. So definitely do that. We love to get the emails from everybody that has emailed us. It's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah. We appreciate each and every, email, comment.
Yeah.
All of it.
And I did forget to say too, on the last episode, which I should have done. We also have merch out now, guys.
Oh shoot. Yeah. I meant to bring that up as well.
So we have several Munsters t-shirts that have been designed specifically for us. Like I have either designed them myself or had some friends design them, things like that. Specifically for you guys, the Munster Cast fans. And you can find the link in the description. It is a Store Frontier at the moment store until I work out some kinks with Teespring in issues that I was having with them on setting that up because they were being jerks. Anyways, you can definitely find that in the links in the description, and I think it's on our link tree as well if it's not in the description or you can't find it in all the billion links that we have in our descriptions. So definitely check that out, guys. And there's some cool ones. I'm waiting on some to get in so I can start wearing them on the show as well. So
same.
Yeah. And with that said, shall we bust into this, or do you got anything else that you want to share? Oh, and in case people haven't seen it yet, I know last week's episode came out. We recorded that when we the same day that the Munster trailer dropped, and then we watched it and recorded the reaction to the trailer afterwards. Well, we're recording this right after that, so just so you know. Go check out the reaction video if you have not yet. It is on the Munster Cast YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a quick watch.
Yeah,
you get our immediate thoughts to what we're seeing, and honestly, given a little bit more time to process it, and I mean a little bit more, I'm so excited for this freaking film.
Yeah. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun family-filled film, and there's nothing else that you could ask for a Munsters film.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It's the John Goodman Flintstones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it reminds me of that. Like, it's cheese. It looks like it's going to be cheesy to the max, and I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I know that's going to be an issue with a lot of people, but I am here for it.
And that's the funny thing. I'm sure by the time this episode drops, there's going to be tons of people being like, "Oh, it's just cheesy." Clearly, you never watched the Munsters, and if that's the only thing that they're going to say is it's cheesy, good, because that's probably the style he's going for. If it's cheesy and that's what he's going for, that's the point. So,
and it's so good to see the three main cast that we know of actually be the characters this time around rather than in the teaser. Like, I could see, I even said this in the video, but I could see them bringing the characters to life. And yeah, Daniel's right. They have probably the best people around to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm truly excited.
Well, I don't want to talk about it too much because this episode is going to be out 2 weeks out. So a week out or whatever, 2 weeks.
I know. I'm just, you got to give people time to process it and think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely check out our little reaction video. It's not much of a reaction. We just talk real quick about it and everything. So with that said, guys, let's dive into episode 35 of the Munsters, starting with episode Tivis.
24 of season 2, The Musician.
Awesome.
Aired March 3rd, 1966. Excuse me. Written by Richard Bayer, with Norm Liebman Haas also involved. Ezra Stone directing again. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. One guest this episode. John Carradine returns as Mr. Gateman, last seen in Herman's Rays.
Awesome. So is it my turn now?
Yeah.
All right. So
why do I smell cat food?
March 3rd, 1966, as Tivis previously stated, Grandpa's magic transforms Eddie from a rotten trumpet player into a classical music virtuoso with a potion. But when Eddie needs to duplicate that performance for Herman's boss, Grandpa cannot remember the exact formula of the potion. Dun dun.
Rocker.
Grandpa screwing it up again. All right.
I'm seriously smelling like soft cat food. So I'm wondering if I'm hoping my wife fed the cats and one of them didn't puke like outside my door.
Guess what? That's not any of our problem but yours, because we can't smell it.
I'm just explaining what's going on with me right now, because it's not good.
So let's dive into this episode.
Yeah, we opened with Herman and Grandpa screaming at each other so loud you can hear them outside on the road.
Yeah.
Lily is happy for these friendly family discussions. Yeah, it's like everyone's Thanksgiving anymore. Herman says Eddie needs to learn an instrument. Grandpa says you shouldn't force a kid to do anything. I have to say I'm siding with Grandpa on this argument. I don't know how you feel as an actual parent, but I know from being a kid, if I didn't want to learn something, I was not going to learn it. And there was no amount of forcing me to.
Just wait till you have some kids.
Yeah, I just, like, if they're passionate about something, I will absolutely help them go to it. But I'm not, like, my dad tried to get me into karate. I don't give a crap. I don't want to do it. I don't want to waste my time. I have other stuff I want to do.
Yeah, but you're a kid. Your time means nothing. You do what you're told, boy.
Everyone's time is valuable. Yeah.
Anyways.
So Lily is in the middle of this argument. Herman sticks his tongue out and Grandpa summons fire once again.
He always loves to go to the fire. I hope we get some of that in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, always with the fire. So Mr. Gateman is coming over for dinner, and Herman promised that his kid would play music.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit much.
You always hear these random things, like in at least older TV shows and stuff like that, where like the kids had to perform for the friends of the parents and stuff like that, or their bosses and things. So it's natural. I think that was something that people did back in the day. I honestly assume
it's foreign to me. So
they put it in so many shows and stuff growing up, so I'm just assumed that that's what kids did back in the day. It's like
when I was little and they had important guests coming over, it's like, hey, I'm gonna be in my room reading a book, not making any noise. That okay?
So
I just want to be left alone. I don't want them to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them. So Eddie comes in looking extremely sad with an instrument case. Herman's opens it up and it's a trumpet. Lily asks if Eddie requested it or was assigned it. And Eddie's like, the teacher assigned it. And then begins playing it extremely off tune. Yeah. Herman is sort of enjoying it, and everyone else is in misery with Grandpa covering his ears.
It's too harsh. It's not that bad. It wasn't that bad. There was actually some tune to it. So
yeah, trumpets can be pretty loud, though. I mean, it didn't sound too bad in our audio, but I kind of want, like, if you were to hear it in person,
right?
Because my buddy was a band. I have a buddy I have two buddies who was in band actually. And yeah, they're much more loud, I guess is the only word coming to my head, in person than in any recording you've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
But yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
Okay. I didn't know if you had a story you were going to tell or something.
No answer today.
We cut to the dinner table, and Herman is telling the family how interested Mr. Gateman was in Eddie learning the trumpet. At that moment, Eddie asks to be excused before dessert so he can watch the movie Captain Blood. Lily thinks this is a swell idea, but Herman, on the other hand, thinks Eddie needs to practice before he begins watching.
Oh, first he asks him, he grabs him by the arm. He's like,
yeah, well, did you do your homework? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get your practice in? Nope. During commercials, Pop. Nope. You'll do it before you even turn on the set.
That's when this trumpet meets with an unfortunate accident. If this was my house, I told you, I don't do things that I don't want to do. I've never been that person. I've had a lot of bosses be angry with me.
You get your ass whooped in my house.
Oh, I did get my ass whooped. It didn't do shit. Believe me, I saw the belt more than once.
All right.
Herman then asked him not to mumble behind his back. He would prefer if Eddie did that to his face instead.
Yeah.
Lily worries that they're pushing the kid too hard. Marilyn agrees that, it's a field that he's showing no talent in. Eddie begins playing Carnival of Venice off key. I know that because the subtitles told me so. Herman defends his son's ability. And yeah. I don't think you should force your kids to do things that they're not good at.
Yeah. I guess so. But Mr. Gateman told him that his son had to do it. So,
yeah, I know. I will get into that just like Clyde last week. There's some strangeness afoot here with Mr. Gateman.
Yeah.
So we transition to Herman reading a paper while Eddie tells him it's unfair he has to practice the trumpet today. It's Sunday, the day of rest. Herman's, all right. And I love this line from Fred. It's so good. It's like, I'm willing to make a deal with you. You could practice sitting down today.
Yeah.
It is so, like, the way he delivers it is, it reminds me a lot of, like, my stepdad and my dad and stuff. It's like, yeah, all right. Like, I'm sure Fred has kids of his own. There's not many actors who don't, but like, it really feels like he's a father to Butch in this moment. So Eddie is miserable and says he wishes he could learn by magic. And Herman's like, no. You don't do that in this house. And I'm like, oh, yes, he does. Remember that time Grandpa made him real good at piano? Or the organ, I should say.
Yeah. Also, Fred had 5 children, by the way.
Jeez. That's too many. I would go insane.
Not for the era he grew up in. That's a small amount, right?
That's still a lot. Like 2 makes me go insane. Like, oh, I feel bad for my sister who has 3.
I have a brother who has like 1 billion kids. So
how do you not just go into like a padded cell? It blows my mind, honestly. I'm in a happy place where I get to visit these children that I love, and then I get to leave them with someone else's problem.
Just wait till you have your own.
I know.
Be fine. All right. Anyways, so
now we're in the lab.
Yeah, Grandpa's down there, and he puts earmuffs on because of the damn music. He's just like, nope, screw it, can't do it. And Igor's flying around, and he's just going literally bat crazy. As Grandpa says, yeah, even the music's even making the bats go bat crazy. Or bad.
Poor Igor.
And he tells Igor to perch, and he puts these little earmuffs over Igor, and Igor flies. How is Igor still flying without being able to hear?
Well, he's just going in a circle. Yeah, he might know the lab by now. It's like if you ever had been to a friend. Do you ever know anyone who has a blind pet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how they can get around the house fine until you move furniture around?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably that. That's a good point. I didn't think of that when I watched this, I'll be honest. So Grandpa's making this potion, and he throws like some hair in it, some sauerkraut, a picture of Beethoven, some water from a few specific places, a stein of beer. I'm like, okay, Eddie's like 10. After this, he comes up from the lab still wearing his earmuffs.
Uh-huh.
Lily goes to talk to him, and he just walks straight past her, ignoring her. And she's like, oh, all right, he's in a rush. That's fine, I guess. He walks into the kitchen where Marilyn is preparing their Sunday treats. He tries to talk to her, realizes he can't hear her, gets a little upset. She takes his earmuffs off, and he's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, let me help take these out. And he spikes Eddie's drink.
Yeah, he literally names each glass, but like the one glass that sticks out is not the one that he picks for Eddie, which would be the one I would have picked for Eddie because it sticks out. But he doesn't. And then Grandpa goes into the living room and gives everyone their drinks. And guess what? Grandpa takes the spiked one when in this episode, in the scene, the one that he put the potion into, Al grabs that glass, and Butch takes the glass that didn't have anything in it. So technically, Grandpa had the one with the potion in it. I think they
didn't even notice that.
Because I was watching, I was like, he just took. I was like, oh, maybe he's holding it so that Fred wouldn't be, so that
Herman
wouldn't just grab that one.
Yeah, because there's like two left, and Herman's like, which one should I take? And Grandpa's like, don't be rude. You take the one closest to you, you idiot.
Yeah. But Grandpa took the one of the main, because there was 4 basically bunched together and one at the end. And the one in the 4 is what Grandpa took. And then Eddie took the one that was technically at the end. So I was like, oh, so he didn't even actually get the potion. Like, I was thinking the whole time, I was like, oh, so it's going to be like Eddie actually was talented.
Yeah, no, it's just a production error.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to rewatch this one and check that now. That's interesting. That's all right.
Yeah.
So, Eddie downs his lemonade.
And then,
can you drown a liquid? I don't know. And he begins playing the trumpet like extremely well. Herman celebrates, and Grandpa makes a comment that Lily catches, but let's go.
Yeah. I don't know if I can make more potion that quick.
Yeah. Lily is preparing dinner for Mr. Gateman as it tries to escape. Like, she literally like tells it, no, back down there to your death.
Yeah.
Grandpa is reading his book of magic, curses, and potions. We never get a title to this book, do we?
No, I don't think so. We have it anyways.
So yeah, he's just going over it to make sure he understands how the potion works, which is honestly the most responsible we have ever seen Grandpa with his magic. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, we have to repeat the process to keep up the effects. And it's stressed that you cannot change the formula or it will go badly. And he's like, he gets a worried look on his face, like, ugh. But at that exact moment, Herman opens the trap door. So I'm not real sure if it's him like, oh no, I have to remember this, or if it's Herman coming down. Igor is still flying around with his ears covered. Herman walks up to Grandpa. He's like, what you doing? Herman's such a kid.
He's like, hi, Igor. Hi, Igor. I can't do a Herman, definitely. And he just keeps going about it. It's like, Igor, hi. And it's like, Grandpa, Igor just like gave me the cold shoulder.
Yeah, he's wearing earmuffs. Why is he doing that?
Yeah, bats.
Why don't I know how bats dress? He's like,
gonna tell a bat how they have to dress.
He's like, why don't you go change your socks for Mr. Gateman? And Herman's like, I've already done that.
Yeah, so this is where
we get dinner with Mr. Gateman.
Mr. Gateman shows up. And he seems so different in this episode from the last time we saw him.
Yeah, it does. Like, we've always had Mr. Gateman has a very close relationship with the family, but this portrayal of him, this feels like something that should be very early on in Herman's career rather than this many episodes in.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to impress him rather than someone who's like basically an extended member of the family based on all the comments we've gotten over the, many, many episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because let's see. Mr. Gateman's telling a bad joke that clearly flops, but Herman starts bellowing out laughing until Mr. Gateman cuts him off. Lily offers him some more pie, and he graciously accepts while complimenting her cooking. And Herman's like, oh, yeah, you really know how to put it away, as we say down in the parlor. And Gateman's like, I do not accept jokes at my expense. He's so like dry in his delivery and stuff in this. It's so weird.
He does a joke too, and Herman just starts laughing and laughing and laughing, like we know Herman to do.
Yeah,
it's just like, all right, stop. You've overdone it. Like, just stop. You're gonna overdo it, dude.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, he addresses Count Dracula directly, so he knows the family members. It's like, but Grandpa's distracted, trying to remember what he used to make the potion.
Yeah.
And you need to write this stuff down, and you need to label it so you don't confuse it with other writing. Lily interrupts him and he's like, hey, pay attention to our guest. And Mr. Gateman's like, why have you been so quiet all night? I'm basically shy. BS. BS, Grandpa.
Yeah.
And then Grandpa like distracts everyone by, hey, what's that on the ceiling? And spikes Eddie's milk. And he's like, oh, I guess it was nothing. And I didn't even notice this, but Herman picks up Mr. Gateman's chair to get a better look at the ceiling. And he's like, put me down.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, why? What?
Yeah, I didn't even notice until he said something to her. So we go out to the living room where Eddie's waiting to play, and Grandpa hands him his milk. Herman gives Mr. Gateman a footstool and then lifts his feet and puts them on. He's like, you want me to remove your shoes? And Herman did way too much.
Yeah.
Too much. Gateman says, I would not. And if Eddie could refrain from playing any music that isn't classical.
Yep.
So Herman then stands up, gives an introduction to Eddie, and Eddie begins playing jazz.
Smooth jazz. Really smooth jazz, too.
Yeah.
Which, like, this is off Mr. Gateman. This is like,
oh, he's so happy.
Herman, you're fired.
Why?
Because his kid did something that he was told directly not to have his kid do.
So that's his fault?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a kid. Kids act on their own.
I mean, if the end of the episode didn't happen, Herman had a great lawsuit right there, being fired unjustly.
Yeah.
Not even for something that happened at work.
Yeah, depending on the laws back in the 60s in California. Yeah. Yeah, so Mr. Gateman storms out and Herman rounds on Eddie. Eddie responds in beatnik, and Herman is just so confused. What?
Yeah.
He loses his anger so fast. Just what? So at the breakfast table, Grandpa is being confronted by the family after saying it was an honest mix-up. He's like, you didn't complain after the first potion. And Marilyn's, we didn't know it existed. And he's like, do you really think I would have let you if I had known?
Yeah, this is like where Grandpa's finally getting called out on his bullcrap.
Yeah, and Herman's like, we don't even let you help with his homework.
Yeah.
This is great. It's like, how many episodes have we seen where Grandpa just involves himself with magic to try and
fix whatever he thinks is wrong?
Yeah, make the process go quicker.
Yeah.
So Lily's like, he's now refusing to go to school because of this damn potion. Like, what are you going to do about it? And Grandpa's like doing some quick mumbling. It's like, okay, it's going to wear off shortly. How shortly? Anytime in the next 2 minutes to 6 months.
Yeah. 2 minutes to 6 months.
And both Marilyn and Lily like close their eyes in frustration, like at the exact same moment. Like, ugh.
And Herman goes upstairs to Eddie's room and actually, gets kind of like, all cool cat with his son. And
he tries to communicate with him in the same beatnik tone, and he's doing a decent job. It's really reminiscent of today's. Hey there, dude. What's up? You know.
Tivis never do that again.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Dude, no. That shit. For everyone to know, that's the first time I've heard Tivis ever say that. Okay. Moving forward.
I didn't expect that to break you so much, but it's exactly what's going on here with Herman, but in 60s.
Yeah.
So Eddie, he's like, so what are you going to do then if you don't finish school? And he's like, I plan to take my horn to Vegas and earn a living there. And I was like, well, that's a great idea. Don't you have to be 16 to do a work permit? And Eddie like snaps out of it. I didn't even think of that. And everyone's like, you're back.
Yeah.
Then Eddie begins wavering back and forth between his usual polite self and beatnik. And Herman's like, oh God, here, play this trumpet. We need to see if the potion's actually out of you. It begins playing like smooth jazz that slowly moves to off tune. And Herman's like, yes, you're back to normal. And he like hugs Eddie. He's just so happy his son's back to normal, completely forgetting that he cost him his job.
Yeah.
It's a really nice moment.
I mean, you can't blame his son,
Even though it was directly because of his son for some BS reason. Mr. Gateman's an asshole.
It was actually Grandpa's fault.
I mean, do you really think if Eddie played off tune, Mr. Gateman wouldn't have reacted the same?
His son was only doing what the potion made him do.
I know, but I'm saying you don't think Mr. Gateman would have reacted the same?
Can't do whataboutisms.
I can because he's an asshole in this episode.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, so someone's knocking on the door. Herman goes to answer it. It's Mr. Gateman. He's here to offer Herman his job back. He's like, oh, you realize the parlor doesn't run as smooth without me? And Mr. Gateman goes, no, actually, it's better. But I miss you being around. Gateman's like removing all of his traveling garb and putting it all over Herman and just walks away as Herman is expressing gratitude. And Herman's like all frazzled by this.
Yeah. He looks like, because he puts the scarf over top of Herman's head and he just like, it's like a poor comment there that's just like, yes, thank you.
He does too. So he walks out to the rest of the family. He's like, I want to apologize for my behavior the other night. It was extremely poor. And is there anything I can do to make up for it? And Grandpa's like, well, and Lily cuts him off. And she's like, no, we're just thankful that you have Herman's job back. It's like, well, I would love to hear Edward play this time. Lily starts to say that's not a good idea, but Grandpa leaves it up to Herman. And Herman's like, well, after how Mr. Gateman has treated me for all these years, I think we absolutely let Eddie play for him. And Eddie's like, should I let him have it? And Herman's like, yes, Eddie, let him have it. And Eddie begins playing horribly off tune. Mr. Gateman's in misery and the family just leave the room.
Yeah. You have another thing where I'm just like, I thought they always talk about him treating him very well.
They do. He sends them Thanksgiving turkeys.
Yeah.
It's like he's been a very nice member to the family. Lily's always talking nice to him. Like, what the heck is going on? Like, again, if this was earlier in the season, it would make more sense because we don't have all this precedent. Kind of like that one where Herman had a meltdown over Lily getting a job.
Yeah.
But because they put it so late, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And this is how the episode ends too, is with Eddie torturing Mr. Gateman.
Yeah. It's the last time we get to see Mr. Gateman too.
Yeah. In this original series, it's his his final appearance. We made sure of it. Believe me, we traveled back. It's not happening again. Just take it care of.
Yeah, so we close with Eddie just torturing Mr. Gateman by playing really crappy. I don't even want to try and say what he was trying to play. So yeah. So the episode, I mean, if it was a different boss or anything, I think it would have hit better for me anyways. It just felt like it was really fast too. But the whole like Mr. Gateman being a dick kind of thing, almost like a dictator. It was just crazy. It was weird to see because we've seen all these. Well, we saw the one good moment with him and Lily before, and we have always continually hearing him on the phone supposedly and things like that, or what he has supposedly said to Herman and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting to see. I think this is also the only time we've ever seen Herman interact with him.
Yeah, that's true. Because last time it was Lily going to beg for Herman's job back.
So,
well, they have interacted over the phone, but not directly in person.
Right. This is the first time we've seen them acting together. So yeah, I think that part kind of like turns me down a little bit for this episode, and that's probably about it. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, like I love the well, no, I can't even say that. I was gonna say the message of, just being happy your kid's okay, but that's not even the message. It's just a nice moment in the episode.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the message in this is. This is not, I can't say I really enjoyed this one.
Grandkids, that's the message.
Don't drug your grandkids in. That's a very important message. Other than that, though, yeah, I didn't care for this one all that much. Again, if it was earlier in the show where we didn't have all this build up for Mr. Gateman,
yeah,
I wouldn't feel this way. But we're way too late in the game for something like this.
Yeah. I can agree with that for sure. All right. What about our trivia? Did we got any trivia for this episode?
Yeah. Last appearance of Mr. Gateman. A lot of musical stuff here. The piece Eddie plays perfectly after Grandpa's Potion is the Carnival of Venice. Mm-hmm. It is based on a Neapolitan folk tune, Oh Mama, Mama Cara. Can't say I'm familiar with it, but it was popularized by violinist and composer Niccolo Paganini. God, why do I get stuck with the names? I'm so bad at them. In 1829, he wrote a series of technical variations for it, which became a popular show-off piece for cornet and trumpet players, and eventually other instruments as well. That must be a musical term I'm not familiar with, but probably, other people get it. I'm not musically inclined like some of my friends. After Eddie takes Grandpa's second potion, he starts playing jazz and wants to drop out of school. When Herman comes to his room to talk about it, Eddie is playing Willow Weep for Me. This tune was written in 1932 by Anne Ronell and is widely accepted as a jazz standard. Also, when Lily pushes her roast in for Mr. Gateman, she's only wearing one oven mitt, so she should have totally burned her hand.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, she uses one oven mitt and then pushes it with the other hand. I'm like, okay. She is a vampire though. So
yeah, which makes me wonder, does she even need the other oven mitt?
Maybe it's just that her hand didn't get dirty because that hand was closer to the actual food.
Maybe. That's entirely possible. I know. Yeah. That's as good a theory as any.
Why not?
Yeah. I don't know. This episode just frazzled me, quite honestly. I'm
curious to see how Mr. Gateman is portrayed in the Rob Zombie film now.
Yes.
After seeing this episode, because I'm like, we've seen him be the quote unquote father figure almost
Yeah.
of Herman, and then we see him like this dictator guy, or just like Mr. Burns basically.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
So
except even in this episode, Mr. Gaiman has a bigger heart than Mr. Burns.
Yeah. If he wanted, maybe he keeps Herman around because he wants Herman's heart for when his heart fails. Aha. That is a Mr. Burns twist to it. Anyway. Yeah, so is that it for trivia?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome, man. So let's dive into this next episode, Prehistoric Munster.
Season 2, episode 25, aired March 10th, 1966. Written by Doug Tibbles with Norm Liebman and Ed Haas, as always. Joseph Pevney is directing this one. So Ezra gets a little bit of a break.
All right.
3 guests this episode. George Petrie as Professor Hanson, who played Sid in Mad About You, which ran from 94 to 95. For anyone who's like that show, I do. Dick Poster as the young doctor, and Harvey Korman as Professor Fagenspan.
Yeah, Fagenspin.
Yes, which
Fagenspan.
if he sounds familiar,
he's German. He's German. Remember?
Fagenspan. Yes, that's right. Ja, ich liebe es.
Ja.
Yeah.
Nein.
Leiterspitzel.
I'm not gonna say the words I know.
Well, I just yelled pencil sharpener, so
well, I'm not gonna say the words I know.
So if you recognize his voice, there's a really good reason for that, because he played Dr. Leinbach in Yes, Galen, There Is a Herman, but also Lenny Bates in Family Portrait, if you remember Beverly's last episode.
Okay.
So, welcome Sight to come back. I enjoyed I call him the sculptor in this, because we have the sculptor, the anthropologist, and the doctor, and I am never going to be able to get that name down. So, what's up?
That actor's been in a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure we've gone over it before. That's why I didn't want to go into it again.
All the way as the president. That's right. Yep. Dracula, Dead and Loving as well. All right. Is that it for your guess?
Yep.
All right.
Move on to synopsis.
Prehistoric Munster, March 10th, 1966, as Tivis previously stated. Marilyn sculpts a clay bust in Herman's likeness. When she tells her art professor that the sculpture represents a living person, he plans to make a bundle from his discovery of a missing link. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, here we go again. Herman is shaving as Eddie comes in and scares him, causing him to cut his candle. The flame reignites and he tells Eddie not to sneak up on me when I'm grooming. Don't you remember the last time you did this when I was getting my hair cut and you made me do a rodeo? Or not a rodeo, what's the term when you ride a horse? Is it just a rodeo?
What do you mean? The term when you ride a horse? A horse ride?
No, when you do it for a show. I thought there was actually, but we'll just go with rodeo just to move on. Yeah, that was a funny episode. Grandpa, you trying to throw me off? No, it's not actually Grandpa. So he begins shaving again as Eddie is still standing there, and Eddie just simply starts talking, and he freaks out again, cutting the like, dude.
And he has a giant one too, giant razor, straight.
Yeah, he does. He like pulls Eddie in close. He's like, Eddie, if I cut my head off with this razor, I'm going to ground you. Eddie finally gets out what he's been trying to ask and says, hey, can I have a picture of you? And Herman's, oh, why? He's like, well, you're the most handsome dad around. And Herman's like, go on. So that's it. Go, no, you had something going there. Keep going. I'm just going to enter you in Father of the Year contest. He's like, oh, yeah, I don't know about that. And then he's like, all right, starts walking away. And Herman's like, wait. There's a picture in the top drawer. Take that. And he's like, these other fathers don't have a chance. And the mirror he's using just shatters.
Yeah.
I love that this gag is back. It is quite a few episodes in a row now. Mm-hmm. And that's our cold open. We got Marilyn helping what appears to be Marilyn helping Lily with one of her sculptures. And she's like, I have no idea what to do with this one. Grandpa walks in offering some shots of penicillin. And Marilyn's, no, I got to do this for my sculpting class. I don't like, I don't know what to do, who to model it on. And Grandpa's like, well, why don't you do Seymour? Alec Kaziz.
Yeah.
And Liz like, who? Grandpa gets offended by this. He's the most famous Greek taxidermist back in Transylvania.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need someone more interesting. And Herman comes in. He's like, what is this junk in my way? Liz like, this is for Marilyn's art class. He's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I could see you put a lot of hard work into it. He's like, she hasn't started yet, you moron.
Like, oh, she wants to, do someone with, like a chiseled features and Greek, manly and all this and godlike almost. And Herman's getting all like, yeah, it's gonna be me, and Grandpa's getting all like, yep, it's me. And Herman's like, well, if you want these, features and everything, you have them standing right in front of you. And Grandpa's just like, thank you, Herman.
They begin bickering with each other about who the criteria meets. And in the end, the girls go with Herman.
Yeah.
And I will say the sculpt that's there looks exactly like how Herman looked in the pilot episode as well.
Yeah, the sculpt actually it looks better. The sculpt that Marilyn does looks better than any of the sculpts we've seen like Lily working on throughout the series.
Which we never actually see finished. We can only assume they're Herman because she beats the crap out of the top of them to make them flat.
Dude, I looked at this sculpt and I was like, it looks like Zoolander as a Frankenstein monster.
Oh, yeah, Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. Yeah, it looked like him doing like, with the contoured cheekbones and stuff like that, but as a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah. It like honestly, if any of you went and watched the pilot either on YouTube or on the DVDs with us, sorry about that. Like it looks so much like, because for some reason, he was only missing like his padding and stuff, but he looked so much like thinner in the pilot than he did in the actual show. And I don't believe Fred changed at all, like, gained weight or anything. So it has to just be the padding that makes him look bigger. But yeah, it's interesting. Herman begins smiling and Lily tells him, stop moving. Yeah, Eddie comes in and he's like, hey, look, I mailed your photo for the contest. Here's the things you could win, and runs off. And so the family gathers around as Herman starts reading it. You get 4 new suits, a whole new wardrobe. That can't be part of it. The suits can't be part of that. And the most exciting thing Lily reads so far, a lifetime of frozen enchiladas. So I'm like, yeah, all right, who doesn't like an enchilada?
Right. Nobody.
Lily says she thinks he has a great chance, and Grandpa just laughs. Herman's like, hey, you're just jealous for being a pet father. And Lily turns on Grandpa for once, which is awesome to see because normally she's taking his side in these.
Yeah.
And Marilyn talks about how the bust of Herman is going to get her an A. Cut to the art class with the sculptor.
He chisels at this big block and it just shatters in the dust, basically.
It turns to sand. He's like, I'm going to call it confetti.
Yeah.
I think this guy is clearly off his rocker.
He's just he's so sad. And then Marilyn walks in with her bust and stuff and shows it to him. And he's like, yeah, this is my piece. He's like, oh, this is fantastic, fabulous, masterful.
Reached into the soul of man and pulled out the primalness.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, I modeled it after my uncle. And you modeled this after someone?
Yeah, my uncle. Yeah, my uncle.
Yeah, he's only 151. Can you believe it? He still looks this good. He cannot, and hits himself with his mallet.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Marilyn coming home, talking about how the professor loved it. Herman is whittling something, and I got so distracted by him just doing whatever he's doing. I had to pause and rewind at this moment because I missed everything that was being said.
It was all dubbed too. That scene, it was all dubbed, like everything they were saying.
Maybe he was making too much noise with the knife.
Maybe.
But Eddie comes in. He's like, did the mail win? Or did the mail arrive? I want to see if you won. No. And thank God Grandpa asked Herman what he's doing, because if this was one of those instances where they're just doing something weird and not acknowledging it, I would have been so unhappy.
Yeah. And it's just like, no, it's not just weird to us. It's like legit. Like, what the hell are you doing weird in our house? And he's like, oh, I'm whittling a self sculpt
portrait in wood. Yeah, he calls it a portrait. It's a sculpt.
Yeah, it's a whittle. He's whittling it. So yeah.
And he's like, that's a nice piece of wood.
Where'd you get it from? Oh, I found it out front on the front porch. And Grandpa's like, you mean the porch that needs the
support?
The support? He's like, what do you take me for? Some kind of idiot that I would just take the support beam from our porch? 2 seconds later, crash, everything goes down, and they run over to the door, and Herman's like, oh, you crummy dumb porch.
Yeah, sticks his tongue out at the rubble. Like, Herman.
It's a good thing no one was like on the balcony or anything that the porch might have been attached to, right?
Yeah. I think the mail guy wasn't out there.
Or maybe he was.
So we cut to the sculptor talking to a colleague, which I'm going to refer to as the anthropologist for the sake of ease. And he's showing him a picture of the sculpt. He took a picture of it. He didn't even bring the sculpt to him. He's like, that's a perfect recreation of a caveman. The sculptor tells him, even better, it's someone alive. That's not possible. This would mean this could be the missing link.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
The missing link. Always with the missing link and Herman. Like, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. So he calls the sculptor he calls the sculptor a genius for what? I don't know. This was brought to him. He didn't discover it.
Yeah.
But the sculptor's like, that should be obvious. I'm German. I love how cocky this guy is. So Herman is coming down the stairs as the mail arrives by arrow. Apparently things have started regressing with the mailman since last we saw, as Spot has tried to bury him in the backyard at some point. It's just a constant back and forth with this mailman.
They don't like each other, man.
No. And I still wonder if it's the same guy from the episode 2. Because you have to wonder, they have to be like please put me on a different route.
Yeah.
But
are you serious? That guy's probably still like falling in love with their next door neighbor.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Probably quit his job. He totally forgot about it because he was so infatuated.
Yeah, the potion wears off. Hopefully they stick together. They deserve some happiness.
Yeah. She got knocked up during the potion, so they had to get married.
Oh no. That took a turn. But in the mail, Herman had a letter addressed to him about how interesting his photo is and how they would love to him to come down to the state university to get a better look at him. Grandpa's in pure disbelief. Lily is excited and Herman heads out immediately.
Yep.
We cut to the sculptor beating himself and the anthropologist with the mallet, with a new third person that we get introduced to as a doctor. And they are confused why Herman isn't there yet. The letter should have arrived by now. How fast is mail in this universe?
A lot faster than it is here. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, this is basically email.
Yeah.
So the doctor asks why they thought this person could be real, and the anthropologist caves and is like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have got our hopes up. And the sculptor's just like, I'm so excited I could get back on the sauce. This guy is a mess. Yeah. He's got an alcoholism problem now. What's going on with this guy? So Herman knocks on the door and breaks it down at that moment. And all three men are like, oh my God, he's real. Herman walks in and he's asking them, all right, can we get on with this interview so I can get my prizes? And they're like, what? The anthropologist, I made note, is cowering in the corner from her. And the sculptor is just like, this is the best day of my life. He's like, what are you talking about? And he's, oh, my stuff for getting Father of the Year. And they're like,
Father of the Year? What?
We're gonna have a side huddle over here for a quick sec. He has offspring. What the heck could they look like? I don't know. And the doctor takes a quick picture of Herman, and Herman's like, what the heck? He's blinded by the flash. And they're like, all right, let's just play along with this. And they come back to him and he's like, we need to examine you first for your prizes. And Herman's like, why? Because we do. All right. Doesn't take much to convince him, by the way. It's just,
yeah.
Now we cut back to home with Grandpa still in disbelief.
And Grandpa's playing chess.
Checkers,
yes, sorry. With an invisible thing, which we find out in this episode is a ghost. It has to be a ghost, this one anyway.
Yeah,
this has to be a different one though than from before, because
but I'm wondering if that means the other one was a ghost as well then.
Maybe, but because Lily everyone sees it, so somehow
yeah, everyone but us, the viewer.
Yeah.
Grandpa wins. He's like, hey, pay up. He's like, his opponent's refusing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
when Lily starts talking to him. He looks familiar. Who is that you're playing? And Grandpa's like, some deadbeat I dug up on my walk through the cemetery.
Yeah.
She tells him, get out. We are honest people who live up to our, words. Get out. The ghost throws over a bunch of stuff on the way out and slams the door. And Grandpa's like, he was a nothing when I found you, and you're still nothing. This is a weird interaction. It has nothing to do with the main plot at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just adding on to the mystery, I guess, of the
maybe.
the ghosts, I guess, now, since they're not invisible men.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks.
You think it would be because Universal owns that, don't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. It's one of their monsters.
Yeah.
That was going to be part of the dark universe and all that. Throw out the dark universe, bring on the Munsterverse. Lily's like, hey, so I'm gonna buy a new shroud now that Herman won. And Eddie comes in at that moment with a newspaper, like, so he didn't win. My friend's dad did. He's like, no, that's impossible. He's out talking to the committee right now. No, he can't be. I accidentally mailed the picture and passed the deadline. He was disqualified.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have won. Hold on, wait. Grandpa's got to look at his face like he wants to say, I told you so, but just doesn't.
Yeah.
She's like, the last time he met with strangers, he was swindled into buying some exercise equipment from Greenland. Then Grandpa shocks me here. He reassures her by saying, look, Herman has a good head on his shoulders. There's nothing in it, but it's a good head.
He's not going to be taken advantage of, right?
Yeah.
And Herman gets sent home from the people, and he comes home.
Well, first there's the whole examination.
Yeah, they do the stupid examination there. And the whole time, Herman is just like, well, what about my prizes? My prizes, my prizes, my prizes. And they keep reassuring him of all these prizes that he's going to get.
They check his head size and then his chest size. And he's like, be careful, I'm ticklish. Then they go to check his knee reflexes. They hit him in the knee and he breaks his hammer. So they grab the mallet, hit it again, and it causes his arm to like smack both guys around him. And he's like, no response. That's weird. As the two men are like, oh God, I just had the wind knocked out of me.
Then they put him in the chest. They do a chest check or whatever.
Yeah, and he kicks a chair through the window. We're like, I think we're done here.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we're gonna be finished now.
You're freakishly strong, so you know what? We have enough stuff for now. If I don't get my prizes, I'm going to hold my breath.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't do that. Just don't do that. I thought they were going to be like, okay, get a timer. But no, they're like, look, don't worry about it. We'll send it to you in the mail. All right.
Yeah.
And look, the doctor's like, what was he going on about? And the sculptor's like, look, when you have a gold maker, why should we care if he's a nut or not?
These people are weird.
I just love this sculptor. He's so energetic.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. They're stupid.
But now we're back at home, and the family's like, how do we break the news to Herman? And they're like hiding in the kitchen too. And they hear him come home and they're like, oh God, we have to figure this out. And Eddie's like, I left the newspaper in the living room. You don't think he's going to see it, do you? You just see Herman with the newspaper. He lets out like a roar of a dinosaur. And I was like, well, he saw it.
Yeah. They rush out there to see where he's at. And he's just like looking at it. And he's like, what is this? What happened?
Explain.
And Eddie's like, well, hip hop, I didn't send your photo in at the right time, man. I just put it there. And
Herman takes it so well. He's so calm.
So calm, so gentle and everything.
And Eddie's like, I'm so glad you're taking this so well.
Yeah.
And Herman's like, no, don't interrupt me. I'm not done talking yet.
Like
And
they couldn't pick me because my young boy, my good boy, didn't send the photo in on time, which means that they didn't have me to pick out of all these other guys, and which means that which means that I don't get my prizes, which means I don't get my trip to Hawaii, which means I'm going to explode.
yeah, I'm going to throw a tantrum, and begins banging his fists on the table.
And the whole then everything starts falling apart again and everything like that. So
yeah, and apparently off screen we find out that he headbutted the chimney and broke it.
yeah. So and then they see in today's paper, which Eddie brings in, on fire.
Because Spot picked it up for him.
I picked it up for him. So if Fred tries to blow it out, and I don't think that it was supposed to keep going, so he dumps it in the water, which I don't think was supposed to be part of the spot there, because he repeats his line again after that.
Yeah, it's like, thank God they had something in that cup.
Right.
He's like, oh, I recognize those three, and it's the three professors from Maryland's college.
Yep.
Grandpa takes it and reads it aloud, and he's like, the three of them were discredited for trying to say Herman was alive.
Yeah.
And Herman's like, serves them right for trying to call me a prehistoric monster.
Yeah. They get what they deserve.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I wonder who they were. And then we end.
Yeah, that's the end of the episode.
So what did you think about the episode before you get into trivia real quick?
I have no trivia for this one, so I liked it a lot more than the first one, but I don't know. There was just, it didn't quite reach as high as a lot of other episodes have for me.
Right. Okay. Same. Yeah, it was okay episode, fine episode. Not a whole lot popped out to me, besides like the sculpt and stuff like that, which was kind of cool. So yeah, I enjoyed it though. It was fun. Munsters that filled episode,
yeah,
of course.
The sculptor was my favorite part.
Yeah. So
the crazy German. I think that guy's just a good actor, because I remember liking him as the psychiatrist too.
Yeah. All right, so trivia real quick.
I said I have no trivia.
Oh, you don't have any trivia?
No.
Okay, cool. With that said, then, Tivis, last words for today's episode. Short episode today, guys. You're welcome.
Yeah, both of these episodes went really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say.
Okay.
I'm still curious, because again, we're recording this early. I know this is like a week removed from the trailer coming out, but over a week and a half. I'm just curious to hear what our fans think of it.
Of the trailer?
Yeah. Well, not even our fans, just fans of the Munsters in general.
Yeah. Which I'm sure we'll see tons of that coming out for us. Mm-hmm. For sure. But yeah, it'll be all over the place within the week. Yeah. From our recording time anyways.
Yeah.
So thank everybody for listening to the Munster Cast, and don't forget to email us your Munster stuff at TheMunsterCast@outlook.com.
Yeah. And be sure to join us next time as we talk about a visit from Joanne and Eddie's brother.
Okay.
What now?
Yep. We'll get to it.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tivis, with that said, we will catch y'all next time as we take another stroll down 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father. Or you can be black or yellow or white. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character.